If you watched my earlier videos, you know that I was recently fired from my local fire department for posting a video where I express my concerns about the mandatory vaccine policy of my township. So my life has changed since posting that video, and it's changed a little bit more these last few days. I don't think I mentioned it, but that was a part-time position at my local fire department. But I was, up until very recently, also a full-time graduate student at the University of Waterloo. My status is now on hold or inactive. I'm not sure what the technical term is exactly, but I'm no longer allowed to be on campus and attend classes because I've refused to provide my proof of vaccination there. So that's another change. It's another one that I knew might be coming, given my unwillingness to basically succumb to their policy. I have been studying theology there at the University of Waterloo, more specifically at Conrad Grebel University College, which is affiliated with the University of Waterloo. So I just wanted to give that update. I had a good discussion with one of the faculty members there today, and he and I had a good discussion about how different people can have different feelings about these mandates and about whether or not a university has the jurisdiction to require of its students that they share the proof of vaccination. I think he and I largely disagree on many of these matters, yet I think we also found some common ground there. And what we both agreed on was the importance of being able to have these conversations, to be able to talk to people who do have different views than one's own about these topics. I think in our media landscape especially, there seems to be one narrative that tends to get pushed, and anything that's outside of that narrative is seen as heterodox and not allowed. That might be changing more recently. Again, I think there is largely that one narrative when it comes to vaccines and vaccine mandates. But I've noticed increasingly, maybe this last couple of weeks or so, and maybe it's because I'm being connected with more people who share some of my views. And I think there's a lot more people out there who have serious concerns about these vaccine mandates. And again, I'm not sure if it's just me becoming more aware of these groups or if these groups are actually ascendant in the conversation that's happening about these things. Either way, I think it's important that we talk about these issues because they are complex, they are multivariate. Public safety is certainly part of it, civil liberties is part of it, access to information, how we deal with members of the public who hold differing views than ourselves, the rights of government, where and when governments can legitimately curtail people's rights, under what circumstances, and under what circumstances that's beyond their jurisdiction. So there's a lot to be debated, to be discussed, and I would encourage each of us to have those conversations publicly and privately and resist this one narrative, this agreed upon narrative that seems to get pushed by our media. In other news, with my township, we're sort of going back and forth in email. I did give them a number of questions about my termination letter, basically asking them what specific areas of the code of conduct they feel I violated. I've asked for a copy of that same code of conduct. They mention in their letter, and I think I read parts of it, I can't remember, I don't think I read it in its totality, but one of the things they allege is that had I brought this issue up privately, that I might not have been terminated or even disciplined. And I asked them how they reconcile that statement with the fact that I did bring up these issues privately, or at least internally, with Human Resources on September 22nd. So I'm asking how they can reconcile those two things. I have received one email back from them. It wasn't a response, but it was basically them telling me to return my uniforms and my pager and other township property, or else face legal action from them. That was what their letter said. I have returned my property their property on Friday, So now I've asked them, now that that's returned, whether they would provide a response. Their letter did strongly allude to them not being willing to answer my questions until that property has been returned. Of course, I intended to return it. It just wasn't a high priority at the moment. But all that property is returned, and now I await their answer. My association, or the Firefighters Association for my department, is involved and is advocating for me, which I appreciate. And irrespective of what happens with me and my employment, I think that the questions I'm asking of the township are legitimate and are ones that current members of the fire department ought to have answers to, as it affects their lives and their working conditions as well. So I'll keep you updated if and when I hear anything back from the township. Thanks for watching.